Okay, let's start. So first of all, just if you can confirm, are you able to hear? Okay, just waiting for just a written response. Just let me know if you're able to hear. Okay, excellent. Okay, so sorry about that. Had a little technical issue. For some reason, the previous link it just died, so I created a new link and just trying to get that around again. I'm not sure if everyone's gonna get it in time, but I've made this video public as well. So if anybody just searches for my channel's name, they'll be able to see it straight away. Okay, so welcome to this first session where we'll be going through the November 2018 Foundation Paper 1. Okay, now I want to make this as interactive as possible. So, okay, so if you have any questions at any time when I'm going through the paper, after I do a question, if there's something you still don't understand or you don't get, okay, just please just ask, just type in, and I'll be able to see that. Okay, now, so the purpose of these sessions is we're going to be going through these past papers for maths, really just strengthening your exam technique, going through any difficult questions, anything, any misconceptions you might have, any problems like that. And the reason why I'm doing it online is so that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. I'm doing on a live YouTube stream, so you don't need any computer necessarily. You can do it from a mobile phone, you can do it on your TV, so it's just easy for you to access as well. Okay, now we'll begin then. I mean, first thing is the grade boundaries. Okay, so looking at the November 2018 paper, grade boundaries, for this particular paper, to get a grade 4, you needed to get 132 marks out of 240. So that's across paper 1, 2 and 3, okay, which is basically 55%. That's a grade 4 pass. Now if you average that, it means you should be aiming to get about 44 marks per paper. Okay, for a grade 5 on this paper, we're looking at about 56 marks per paper. Okay, about 70%. Okay, now this is a non-calculator paper. Now the first thing that I always tell my students, whenever you get the exam paper, just have a quick look through the paper. If there's any difficult questions that you see, okay, then you need to kind of cater for those, like in terms of your timing. Okay, so it's very important when you're doing the paper, timing is really important. Okay, so you don't just get stuck and waste a lot of time on just a 1 mark or 2 mark question. If you see a question later on in the paper, okay, where you can see, okay, it's 4 marks for this kind of question, okay, you have a quick look at it. Alright, just basically working out angles. Okay, so just very important, just going through the full paper, just getting an idea beforehand kind of questions you're going to be doing. Okay, just to give you a feel. Okay, now as soon as you've done that, okay, we can go back to the top. Okay, and with that we'll begin. Okay, so question number 1, very simple. Just write the following numbers in order of size. Okay, so place value, we got these numbers 0.4, 0.02. So look at, they all got 0 in the units placeholder. Okay, so that's all the same. So let's look at it at the tenths. That's 4 tenths, 0 tenths here. Okay, 3 tenths, it's 1 tenth, so that's 0 tenths, therefore that's the smallest, so that's 0.02, get rid of that. Next, that's a 4 tenths there, 3, that's a 1 tenth, so that's going to be the next one, 0.152, get rid of that. Okay, next we got 2 tenths here, that's 3, that's 4, so 0.2 is the next one, and then 0.37 and 0.4. Okay, question number 2. Write 0.6 as a percentage. Okay, percentage, remember, is always out of 100. Okay, so whenever you want to convert a decimal to a percentage, all you have to do is just times it by 100. Okay, so 0.6 times by 100. Move the decimal point 2 places to the right. That gives you 60%. Okay, now don't get this confused with 0.06. because that will be 6%. Okay, this is 0.6, so the answer is 60%. Okay, question number 3, list of numbers. From the list, write down a factor of 10. Okay, so just remember, a factor is a number that goes into another number. Okay, so what numbers have these numbers go into 10? Okay, 3 doesn't, the answer is 5. Okay, now a common error with this question, students will write down 20. Okay, confusing between a factor and a multiple. Okay, 20 would be a multiple of 10. Okay, it comes in the 10 times table. Okay, it's not a factor of 10. So just be careful of that one. Okay, that's another 1 mark question. Question number 4. Write 7,829 to the nearest 1,000. Okay, so when we got the number 7,829, 7,829, we're rounding to the nearest 1,000. So here's my thousands here. Okay, so you can make your imaginary line over here. And remember, every time you're rounding, you want to look at the number that comes immediately after. And the question you're asking, is it 5 or more? Okay, if it is 5 or more, then it rounds up. If it's less than 5, it just rounds off. Here in this case, 8, it is 5 or more, so therefore 7 will round up to 8 and put a 0 in the other place values. Okay, so the answer is 8,000. Okay, carrying on. Question number 5. Okay, just bid mass here. Work out 3 times 5 at 7. Okay, multiplication first. 3 times 5 is 15. Add that to 7. The answer is 22. 2 cubed. Okay, I'm sure you can guess what mistake students would make here. 2 cubed does not mean 2 times 3. Okay, the answer is not 6. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, now question C, asking you to write brackets in this statement to make it correct. Okay, so remember with BidMass, brackets are always the first thing you do. Okay, so you can try. If you put brackets around 7 times 2, that's 7 times 2, which is 14. 14 at 3 is 17, it's not 35. Okay, so let's try putting it around the 2 and the 3. 2 at 3 is 5. 7 times 5, does it give you 35? Yes, it does. Okay, so therefore you put the brackets around 2, add 3. Everyone okay so far? Okay, as I said, if there's any questions, if I'm going too fast, just let me know and I can slow it down or go through other questions. Okay, question number 6, if everyone's okay. Sue has 2 cats. Each cat eats a quarter of a tin. Okay, each cat eats a quarter of a tin of cat food each day. She buys 8 tins of cat food. Has Sue bought enough cat food to feed her 2 cats for 14 days? Okay, sure, you got the answer. So she's got 2 cats, yeah? Each cat eats a quarter of a tin. So how much do the 2 cats get through in one day? It's going to be a quarter. That's what one cat's going to eat. The other cat's also going to eat a quarter. So the answer is 2 quarters, which is basically a half. Okay, so each day she goes through half a tin. So she goes through half a tin per day. She buys 8 tins. So has she bought enough to feed both cats for 14 days? All you have to do, if they're going through half a can per day, okay, and she buys 8 tins, all you have to do is 8 times 2, which is 16. Okay, so that means it will last her 16 days. Will it be enough for 14 days? The answer is yes. Okay, and show how you got your answer. Okay, here's your working out here. Sure, okay, yeah, I'll slow down if you want to make notes as well. Okay, let's go through question number 6 again. So she had 2 cats. Each cat eats a quarter of a tin each day. Alright, so if each cat eats a quarter, okay, that would be both cats would eat 2 quarters, which is half a can per day. So she goes through half a can per day. Okay, she buys 8 tins of cat food. Okay, will that be enough to last her 14 days? Okay, so because she goes through half a can per day, okay, that means that 1 tin will last her 2 days, doesn't it? 1 tin will last her 2 days, so therefore just do 8 times 2 to get the answer of 16. Okay, so the answer, you would say yes, it will last her enough, and this is how we show how we got the answer. Okay, and this question is worth 3 marks. Okay, that was question number 6. Okay, you okay for me to move on? question 7. Pictograms. Okay. We're told there's only apple trees, cherry, pear trees and plum trees in an orchard. Here we got a pictogram to show how many of each tree we have in an orchard. There is a total of 30 trees in the orchard. Complete the pictogram. The most important thing with the pictogram is the key. Okay, it's the first thing you should always look at. Whether the question asks you to draw a pictogram from scratch, you always have to remember to put in the key. Okay, here we're just interpreting the pictogram and just filling in, just completing it in. Okay, so looking at how many plum trees we had. Now each square represents 4. Okay, so that's 4, that's 4, that's 4. So we've got 12 apple trees. Cherry tree, that's 4. That's a quarter, isn't it? Carefully, that's a quarter of a full square. So 4 divided by 4, that represents 1. 4 add 1. 5 cherry trees. Pear tree, it's a full square, which is 4. That's half of the square. Half of 4 is 2. So that's 6. Plum. How many plum trees will there be? Well, look at the question. We're told that in total there's 30 trees, right? So to work out how many plum trees we have, just add these up. So we're going to do 12 add 5 add 6. 12 add 5 is 17. 17 add 6 is 23. So therefore plum tree is going to be 30, take away 23, which is 7. Okay, so that's how many plum trees we need to draw. We need to draw 7. Okay, so 1 will be a full square, right? So that's going to be 4. We need to draw 3 now, isn't it? So how are we going to draw 3? Well, it's going to be 3/4 of the square, isn't it? So it's going to be the full square and just cut out 1/4. Okay, so let me try that. So it's going to be a little bit like this, with a quarter missing. Okay, just like that. Okay, and that's your 7. 4 and your 3 gives you 7. Okay, how many marks is that? 3 marks. Okay. Moving on. Question number 8. Okay, so we've got coordinates here. Write down the coordinates of point A. So with coordinates, remember, you always write down the x coordinate first, followed by the y coordinate. Okay, so along the x-axis, this is -2. Down the y-axis, it's got 2, -1. So the coordinate is -2, -1. Part B. On the grid, mark with a cross the point 2, 3. Label this point B. Okay, so again, 2, 3. So we want to go up to 2 on the x-axis. Up to 2 on the x-axis. You want to go along 2 on the x-axis, and you go up 3 on the y-axis. Okay, so here's my x-axis. There's 2 up to 3. Yeah, so we're going to put a cross right there, and it asks us to label it point B. Okay, 1 mark for that as well. Finally, we got on the grid, draw the line with the equation x equals -4. Okay, x equals -4. Now what that means that you want to draw that line that goes through the x-axis and only the x-axis at -4. Okay, so look at the x-axis, find where -4 is, right here. Okay, and you want to draw a straight line that goes through -4 on the x-axis. Okay, now I'm just going to get a line from here. So -4 on the x-axis, maybe just like that. Okay, that's your line. X equals -4. Now if the question had asked you draw the line x equals 1, again, all you do, x equals 1, just by way of example, find 1 on the x-axis, and you draw a straight line that goes through 1 and only 1 on the x-axis, okay, just like that. Okay, that would be x equals 1. If the question were to ask you, draw the line y equals 2, for example, again, all we do, for when we have y equals 2, look at the y-axis, and what that means, you want to find that line that goes through 2 on the y-axis, so that will be something like this. Well, that's the line y equals 2. Okay, is that understood? Okay, common mistake is students will do it the opposite way around. Okay, so if a question just asks you x equals minus 4, it's got to be that line that goes through minus 4 on the x-axis. Okay, so it's going down like that. Okay, moving on to question number 9, substitution. Okay, substitution. So we've got 2g plus 3h. When g equals 9, h equals 4. So remember, 2g means 2 times by g, okay? 3h means 3 times by h. So 2 times by g when g is 9 means 2 times 9. Add 3 times h when h is 4. 3 times 4, just like that. So 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 4 is 12. 18 at 12. 18 at 2 is 20. Add 10 is 30. So the answer here is just 30. Okay, number 10. Write down 2 prime numbers that have a sum of 32. Okay, so I'm just going to write down some of my prime numbers. So the first prime number is 2, then is 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 15 is not prime, 16 is not prime, 17 is prime, 19 is prime, 20, no, 21, 22, 23 is prime, 24, 25, 26, 27 is not, 28, 29 is prime, okay, 30 is not, 31 is prime, and 32 is not. So write down 2 prime numbers that have a sum of 32, meaning 2 prime numbers that add up to give you 32. Well, 31 I can't use that because 1 is not a prime number. 29, can I use 29? 29 add what gives you 32? 3 is a prime number. Okay, that works. So 29 and 3, that's one possibility. 29 add 3 equals 32. Alright, are there any other solutions? Are there any other 2 prime numbers that give you a sum of 32? Have a look. If you think you know, let me know in the comments. Are there any other is any other pair of prime numbers that give you a sum of 32? (23) and 7. Okay, that gives you a sum of 30. Okay, we're looking for 32. Okay, good try, but no. 23 at 7 is 30. We're trying to get to 32. There is one more pair. Okay, I'll give you a clue. One of them is 19. 19 add 13. Okay, 19, that's another pair that works as well. 19 add 13 as well. 19 add 3 is 22. 22 add the 10 would be 32 as well. So you can choose any one of these 2 pairs of numbers. Okay, yeah, well done, you got it. So I'm just going to choose the first one, 29 and 3. Okay, 2 marks there. Let's carry on. Question 11. Here's some fractions. One of these is not equivalent to 3/4. Which one? Okay, so remember, when we're looking for equivalent fractions, we're gonna either cancel down one of these fractions, or we're gonna scale it up. Now, whichever one you choose, remember you have to do it. You have to either multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, or divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Okay, so let's see which one of these cancels down to give us 3/4. So 9 over 12. Well, if I cancel this fraction down by dividing both the top and the bottom by 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3, 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that is equivalent to 3/4. Okay, we're looking for something that's not, so that one's out of the picture. Next one, 6 over 8. Okay, how can we cancel this down? If we divide both of these by 2, what do we get? 6 divided by 2 is 3, 8 divided by 2 is 4. That gives you 3 over 4. Okay, that works. What about 18 and 24? Okay, how can we cancel these two down? Well, if we divide by both of these by 6, 18 divided by 6 is 3, 24 divided by 6 is 4. Okay, so we've only got 2 left now. Out of these two, which one? Well, 10 over 16. Okay, we can cancel that down by dividing by 2. If we divide this by 2, what do we get? 10 divided by 2 is 5. 16 divided by 2 is 8. That is not equivalent to 3/4, so the fraction is 10 over 16. But let's just make sure, and let's check the last one as well. So 15 over 20. I can divide both of these by 5, can't we? We can divide both these by 5. What does it give us? Well, 15 divided by 5 is 3. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 3 over 4, that one is equivalent. Okay, so the answer is 10 over 16. 1 mark question there. Okay, part B asks us to work out 1/12 at 5/6. Now, main thing, whenever we're working with adding fractions with different denominators, what do we have to do to the denominators? When we're adding fractions with different denominators, what do we have to do with the denominators? Can we just add them like that? Okay, so whenever we're adding fractions with different denominators, we have to make sure the denominators are both the same. Okay, so we've got to look for the lowest common multiple of 12 and 6. Okay, what number is both in the 12 times table and the 6 times table? Yeah, have a common denominator. Yeah, absolutely. So 12 and 6, the lowest common multiple of 12 and 6 is 12. Okay, because 12 is a multiple of 12, because 12 times 1 is 12. Okay, you said 24. Okay, yeah, now 24 works. Okay, now you can say 24 now. Okay, I guess we'll do that first then. If we say 24, okay, yeah, 24, that works, but I'll show you another way of doing it as well. So 12, to get to 24, you have to times by 2, isn't it? So times this by 2, and so therefore times the top by 2 as well. 1 times 2 is 2, and to get 6, to get to 24, you have to times by 4, so therefore times the top by 4 as well. 5 times 4 is 20, so therefore your answer would be 22 over 24. Now in this particular question, okay, that's correct. You'll get 2 marks for that. Okay, why? Because the question doesn't ask you to simplify it. Sometimes a question like this will give you the question and they say give your answer in its simplest form. Here the question doesn't ask you, so you're okay to do that here. You can leave your answer like that, you'll get 22 over 24, or you can cancel it down, divide both by 2, you'll get 11 over 12. Okay, now a quick way of doing this question, okay, would be by getting the lowest common multiple of 12 and 6. Now 24 is fine. Okay, 24 is a multiple, but it's not the lowest common multiple. Okay, the lowest common multiple of 6 and 12 is 12, isn't it? Because look, 12 is in the 12 times table, and it's also in the 6 times table. Now the benefit of doing this is that I only need to multiply this one side, okay, and then I won't have to cancel down my answer as well. So what do you times 6 by to get to 12? It's 2, isn't it? So times the top by 2 as well. What do you get? So 1/12, that's the same, we haven't touched that. Add 5 times 2 is 10 over 6 times 2, which is 12. 1/12, that 10/12. So remember, you never ever add the denominators. Okay, the denominator always stays the same. Okay, so a common error students make it, they'll make it over 24. Okay, no, whenever you're adding and subtracting fractions, you don't touch the denominators once they're the same. 1 at 10, 11. Okay, so notice same answer if you cancel that down. Okay, so that's 2 marks, 3 marks in total. Okay, any questions on that one? Before we move on to question 12. Okay, if not, then going straight into number 12. So here Tom uses his lorry to deliver bricks. You can use this graph to find the delivery cost for different distances. Okay, so we got the cost going up on the y-axis and the distance traveled in miles going along the x-axis. So for each delivery there's a fixed charge. Okay, so there's a fixed charge plus a charge for the distance. How much is a fixed charge? How much is the fixed charge? Okay, anybody want to tell me the answer? I'll zoom in if you can see. Now look where the line starts. Okay, it doesn't start at the origin. Okay, it starts slightly above, isn't it? So this value here, okay, this represents the fixed charge. Okay, sorry with my squiggly line. So looking very carefully, it's exactly halfway between 0 and 20, which is 10. Okay, yeah, okay, you got the answer, £10. Okay, so the fixed charge is just £10. Okay, simple as that. Tom makes 2 deliveries of bricks. The distance of one delivery is 20 miles more than the distance of the other delivery. Work out the difference between the 2 costs. Okay, so we're looking at the difference between the 2 costs. Okay, so get my pen. So Tom makes 2 deliveries. The distance of one delivery is 20 more than the other. So there's a number of ways you can answer this question. Okay, now the easiest thing for that I'd say in this question is you need to basically choose 2 delivery points. Yeah, so why not make one delivery A at 0 miles, and then the other one is going to be, what did I say, 20 miles more, isn't it? So if the first delivery point's at 0 miles, then the next delivery point is going to be 0 at 20, will be 20 miles. Okay, so what was the cost at point A? It's just that fixed cost, isn't it? It's just that fixed cost of £10. Okay, so at point A, the cost was £10. What was the cost at point B? So if you look here, point B, so at 20 miles. Okay, so going up at coming up at 20, going across, what's the cost? £40, isn't it? So at point B, okay, at 20 miles, the cost is £40. Question's asking us work out the difference between the 2 costs. Well, it's just going to be £40, take away £10. So the difference in cost is just £30. Okay, now as I said, you can choose any 2 points to do this. Okay, I just chose this A as my A because this was just simple. It's easy to read at 10, and 20 also is easy to see. That's 40. Okay, now you could have chosen 2 more. If you chose, for example, 10, okay, then the second one would be 30. So 10, you look over here, read it off. Look at 30, read it off. Could be quite difficult unless you look very closely. Okay, 20 and 40 you can use as well. Okay, that's not that bad. 40 miles, okay, it costs 70. 20 is 40, 70 take away 40, you'll get the same answer as 30 as well. Okay, moving on. Question 13. Asmul, Ryan and Kim each played a game. Asmul's score was 4 times Ryan's, Kim's score was half of Asmul's. Write down the ratio of Asmul's score to Ryan's score to Kim's. Okay, so it's a problem solving type question involving ratio. So we want to write down the ratio of Asmul to Ryan to Kim, A to R to K. We're told that Asmul's score was 4 times Ryan's score. Kim's score is half of Asmal's score. So I'm going to substitute with letters. So I'm going to say if Ryan got a score of R, okay, we have a pen. If Ryan got a score of R, then Asmal got 4 times Ryan's score, okay, which is going to be 4R, and Kim scores half of Asmal's score. Okay, do you want time to make notes? Okay, for question 13, yeah? You talking about question 13 or 12? Question 13, okay. Bailey, there seems to be a bit of a delay between your questions and when you receive my response. Maybe if you refresh your browser so you come up to date. Maybe you're slightly lagging. I'm not sure. Okay, perhaps try refreshing your browser. So I think it feels like there's a slight delay here. Okay, I'll give you a bit of time. So we're going to write down the ratio of Asmal's score to Ryan's to Kim's. Okay, so coming back, so Ryan, imagine if he got a score of R, then Asmal got 4 times that, so it's going to be 4R. And then Kim was half of Asmal's, isn't it? So Asmal got 4R, half of 4R is 2R. Okay, now write down the ratio of each of their scores. Okay, so Ryan got 1, so we call that 1R. Asmal got 4 lots of R, when R is 1, that's just 4. And Kim half of Asmal's, it's just going to be 2, so the ratio would be 4 to 1 to 2. Okay, I'll give you a moment to make any notes. When you're happy for me to move on, let me know. Okay, let's carry on. Question number 13 was done. Question 14 next. Okay, let me just check something. 1 second. Alright. Coming back to question 14. Okay, so the diagram shows quadrilateral ABCD with each of its sides extended. Okay, so here's ABCD. AB equals AD, okay, and that's what this little notation means here. Okay, these two sides are the same. Okay, show that ABCD is a kite. Give a reason for each stage of your working. Okay, so we want to prove that this shape is a kite. So we need to know the basic qualities of a kite. Okay, so a kite has 2 particular properties. Okay, number 1 is that these 2 lengths are equal. In a kite, these 2 lengths that I'm showing you here have to be equal, and that's been given already in the question. We're told that AB equals AD, so that's one thing out of the 2. The second thing that we need to, the second property of a kite is that this angle here is the same as this angle here. So essentially, all we need to do in this question, we need to show what these 2 angles are and to prove that they're both the same. If we can do that, then we've proved that this shape is a kite. Okay, so we can start in a number of ways, but I'm going to start here. We need to work out what this angle here is. So this angle, what's this angle here and why? Because the question says give a reason for each stage of your working. I'm going to call this angle X. What's the value of X? What angle is X and why? Okay, anybody? $50. Why? Nabila Begum, 50. Can you tell me why? It's correct, it is 50. But we need to give a reason for each stage of our working, so we can't just leave it at that. 50. Yeah. Suzanne, you've got it. It's the same as C, okay? Why is it the same as C? What's the rule? Okay, 50 degrees. Why? Come on. Anybody? Opposite angles are equal, okay? Yeah, excellent. Okay, so it's 50 degrees. Yeah, vertically opposite. Okay, mind my scruffy handwriting. Vertically opposite angles are equal. Okay, that's fine. So this is 50 degrees. Okay, I'm going to call this angle here y. Can anybody tell me what is the value of angle y and y? A line is 130. Are we sure? Do we agree with that? Is angles on a straight line 130? So C is 130. Okay, yeah, straight line is 180, yeah? So to work out y is going to be 180 minus 75, which is what? 180 take away 75, 105 degrees. Okay, so this angle here y is 105 degrees. Why? Because angles sum of a straight line equals 180. Okay, so we know this is 105 degrees. Okay, that's 105 degrees. So how do we work out this angle here? Okay, yeah, that's fine. 105, you got that. Let's call this angle, let's call it B. Okay, yeah, what would angle B be? Now don't tell me it's 105 because it's the opposite angle to this. Okay, that's obviously we know that's going to be the case because we're trying to prove it's a kite and we know these two angles are going to be the same, isn't it? But what's another way that we can find this missing angle? The clue is in this word here. It's quadrilateral. What's the sum of the angles in a quadrilateral? Okay, the angle sum of a quadrilateral is 360, yeah? So that means that all these angles here have to add up to 360. Okay, so basically to work it out we need to do 360 take away the sum of all these angles here. So we've got 100. Total angle in a quadrilateral is 360, yeah? You got it. So work out the sum of all these angles, so it's going to be 100 add 105 add the 50. So scroll down a little bit. So that becomes 360. Yep. 360 take away. It's going to be 100 at 105, 205, 205 at 50, 255. So angle B, 360 take away 255 is 105 degrees. Okay. So give a reason for each stage. So you need to give a reason for this one as well. Angle sum in a quadrilateral is 360 degrees. Okay, so that's the reason at this stage. Give a reason. So show that ABCD is a kite. Okay, so there at the end, just make a short sentence that these two sides are the same. AB is equal to AD, and these two opposite angles are the same. Therefore, this is a kite. Okay. Any questions on that one before we move on? It's for 4 marks. Okay, just going to give it a minute. Okay, now I noticed there is a bit of a lag between the comments coming in. So maybe if you refresh your browser, okay, then it'll basically bring you up to the moment live right now. Okay, but carrying on. Question number 15. Shahid is going to use these instructions to make a fizzy drink. Mix 5 parts of orange juice with 2 parts lemonade. Shahid thinks he has 300 ml of orange juice and 200 ml of lemonade. If Shahid is correct, what is the greatest amount of fizzy drink he can make? Okay, so looking at the ratio, he's got orange juice to lemonade. Okay, he's got 5 parts of orange juice and 2 parts of lemonade. Okay, he has 300 milliliters of orange juice. Okay, so 300 milliliters of orange juice. Okay, now with that 300 milliliters of orange juice, how much of the lemonade does he need to make sure that the ratio of both is kept equal? So to do this question, all we need to do is look at what you times 5 by to get to 300. We'll do the inverse. 300 divided by 5. So 30 divided by 5 is 6, and then add a 0. So therefore you have to do the same thing to this side as well. Times this side by 60. So we're going to do, get my pen, 2 times 60. Well, 2 times 6 is 12. Add a 0, 120 milliliters. Okay, so what's the greatest amount of fizzy drink he can make? Well, it's going to be 300 ml. Add the 120 milliliters, which is 420 milliliters. Okay, so the most that he can make is 420 milliliters of juice. Okay, I'll give you a moment just to look at that. Okay, before we go on to question B. Okay, so the final answer there is 420. Okay, moving down. Shahid has 300 milliliters of orange juice, but he only has 160 milliliters of lemonade. Does this affect the greatest amount of fizzy drink he can make? Now, we've seen from the previous part A that for 300 milliliters of orange juice, he only needs 120 milliliters of lemonade. That 160, that 40 extra, okay, is not needed anyway. So does this affect the greatest amount of fizzy drink he can make? The answer is no. Okay, because Nabila said 60. Okay, what do you mean by 60? Times by 60, yeah? Okay. So coming back to B anyway. So Shahid has 300 milliliters of orange juice. He only has 160 lemonade. Does it affect the greatest amount? Well, no, because he only needs 120 milliliters of lemonade. The extra 40, the extra 40 will have no effect. Okay, moving on. Question 16. Here are 2 rectangles. Jim says the 2 rectangles are similar because 8 at 4 is 12 and 6 at 4 is 10. Is Jim correct? Now, to prove that 2 shapes are similar, you have to show a scale factor. Okay, you have to show a scale factor that is common for all lengths of that shape. And in order to get a scale factor, you have to multiply. Okay, you cannot add. Okay, so he just added 4 to each. He thought, okay, so 8 add 4 is 12, and 6 add 4 is 10, so it must be similar. The answer is no, he's not correct. Okay, he was supposed to use multiplication, not addition, to show that two shapes are similar. Okay, so you can write a sentence like Jim should have used multiplication, rather than addition. So 1 mark question. Okay, this is enough for the answer. But if you wanted to go in and prove, okay, why that's wrong, well, if you look at 8 and look at 12, what you have to times 8 by to get to 12? Well, you can do the opposite, can't you? You can do 12 divided by 8. Okay, and that is a fraction, 12 eighths. We can divide both by 4. That gives you 3 over 2, isn't it? If I divide 12 by 4, I get 3. 8 divided by 4 is 2, which is basically 1.5. Okay, so the scale factor from 8 to 12 is 1.5. But look at 6 and 12. What's the scale factor for 6 and 12? 6 and 10 rather. Okay, 6 and 10. Well, what do you times 6 by to get to 10? Do the opposite again. Okay, so to get from 6 to 10, you can do 10 divided by 6. Okay, which is cancels down. Divide both by 2, you get 5 thirds. Okay, which is 1 and 2 thirds, which is at 1.666. Therefore, look, that's 1.23 and that's 1.5. They're both not the same. Okay, they're not the same. Okay, the scale factor is not the same, so therefore the shape is not similar. Okay, now I did this as an extra to show you why it's wrong, but just understand what we've done here. Okay, that suffices as an answer. Okay, he used addition. Okay, that's wrong. He was supposed to use multiplication. Alright, moving on to question number 17. Okay, we've got a frequency tree here. 80 people are asked. Okay, yeah, 80 people are asked if they like coffee. Okay, 48 of these people are women. 61 of the 80 people like coffee. 8 of the men do not like coffee. Okay, use this information to complete the frequency tree. Okay, so looking at this question here, we're told that there's 80 people asked if they like coffee. 48 of these people are women. Okay, so in total there's 48 women. 61 of the 80 people like coffee. Okay, 8 of the men do not like coffee. Okay, so we can do this one first. It's the easiest one to put in. 8 of the men do not like coffee. So follow the men do not like coffee, this branch here. So that's 8. 8 of the men do not like coffee. Okay. 61 of the 80 people like coffee. Now, okay, let's look at this carefully. So 48 of these people are women. Okay, so we can, sorry, I missed that one. So 48 of these people are women. So altogether, we can put this in. 48 are women. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we've done that one. 61 of the 80 people like coffee. Okay. I'll give you a moment to have a look at that one. Okay, let's get everybody back up. Okay. So, if we know that 48 of the people are women, how many will be male? Well, you just have to do 80 take away 48. Okay, 80 take away 48. It's 50, 32. Okay, so we know that there's 32 men, because 80 take away 48 is 32. Of these 32 men, 8 did not like coffee. So how can we work out how many of those did like coffee? Well, it's just going to be 32 minus that 8, okay, which is 24. Okay, so 24 of the men like coffee. Okay, and just check 24 add 8 gives you 32, so that's fine. What we're told here, okay, this one, 61 of the 80 people like coffee. Okay, well, if we knew already that, okay, out of those 61, 24 were male, then how many of the women would also like coffee? Well, we just need to do 61 take away 24. Okay, 61 take away this 24. Okay, because we know that 61 of the 80 people liked coffee, right? 24 were men, so to work out how many women it was, he's going to do 61 take away 24, borrow from that is 5, gives the one here 11, 11 take away 4 is 7, 5 take away 2 is 3, so that's 37 here. Okay, so the last one we can just fill in, how many women did not like coffee? Well, if 37 liked it and there was a total of 48, 48 take away 37 is 11. Okay, so that was that part. Okay, moving on. Part B says one of the people who like coffee is chosen at random. Okay, this is a key wording here. Okay, so one of the people who like coffee is chosen at random. Find the probability that this person is a woman. How many people liked coffee altogether? Well, it's 24 at 37. We already know that anyway. 61 liked coffee. Okay, so out of the 61 people that liked coffee, how many were women? Okay, women liked coffee is 37. So the answer is 37 out of 61. Okay, a common mistake made on this question is students write down 37 out of 80. Okay, now the reason why that's wrong is because we don't want how many people out of everybody. If it said one of the people at random out of the 80 were chosen at random, then it would be correct 37 out of 80. But here we're looking at specifically those people that like coffee. Okay, we're looking at the sample of those people that like coffee. How many of those would be women? So the answer is 37 over 61. Okay, 5 marks there. Okay. Okay, any questions so far? Everyone okay? I'll check something very quickly. Okay. Alright, let's carry on. Question number 18. Food Mart and Jan's store sell boxes of the same type of breakfast cereal. Each shop has a special offer. Okay, so they got a special offer here, yeah. Food Mart is that for 400 grams, 20% off the normal price of £5. And Jan's store is 400 grams plus a 30% extra, £5. Which box of cereal is the better value for money? You must show you're working. Okay, so let's look at this then. So look at Food Mart. Let's look at Food Mart first. So they've got 400 grams, 20% off the normal price of £5. Okay, so how much would 400 grams cost? So what's 20% of £5? 20% of £5. Okay, so 10% to work out 20%. Start off by working out 10%, which is going to be 50p. Yeah, so let me just get rid of this. So imagine £5, if we work in pence, if you like, of 500. Well, 10% is going to be 50, so therefore 20%, so if we work it out, 10% of 500 is 50, so therefore 20% of 500 is going to be double that, isn't it? Which is 100, which is £1. Yeah, 50p. Okay. Now, the question says it's got 20% off the normal price, so therefore the price would be £5 take away £1, which is £4. Okay, so for 400 grams, the cost is £4. Okay. Let's look at the next one, Jan store. So here we've got 400 grams plus 30% extra. So we need to work out what 30% of 400 is. So again, start off by finding 10% of 400 is 40. So therefore 30% of 400, you're going to times that by 3. 40 times 3, well 4 times 3 is 12. Add a 0, 120 grams. So they get 30% extra, so they get extra 120 grams. So therefore we need to do 400 grams, add the extra 120 grams. It's 120, let me do it again. 120 grams, they get 520 grams. So for 520 grams, they get 520 grams, it costs them £5. Now, with a question like this, for us to compare these two values now, the 400 grams for £4 and 520 grams for £5, we can do one of two things, okay? We can either work out the cost per gram for each one, or, probably I'd say is easier, is find out how many grams you'd get for £1 in each one, okay? So, again, working with ratio, how do you get from 4 down to 1? You have to divide, don't you? Yeah. So you have to divide by 4. Now, just like with equivalent fractions and cancelling down fractions, same idea with ratios as well. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do the same to the other as well. So divide by 4, 400 divided by 4 is 100 grams. So at Food Mart, the 100 grams is £1. Let's see how much it is at Jan store. How many grams you get for £1 at Jan store. So to get from 5 down to 1, again you're going to divide. This time you're going to divide by 5, so divide this side also by 5. Okay, 520 divided by 5. Okay, if you want to use the bus stop method, you can use the bus stop method. If you want to do it in your head, you can do it mentally as well. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 2 divided by 5 doesn't go. Carry the 2. That's 20 divided by 5 is 4. So they get 104 grams. So therefore, Jan store just about wins it. Okay, which box is better value for money? Jan store is better. Jan's store is better value for money because you get for £1 104 grams, which is just about just 4 grams more than what you would at Food Mart. Okay, so the answer here is Jan store is better value for money. Okay, I'll give you a moment if you want to make notes on that. If you have any questions, you can ask now. Okay, moving on. Question number 19. Okay, so it's a question on transformation. We want to get that up. Okay, we want to rotate this shape 180 degrees about 1, 0. Okay, now for me to show you this, okay, it's going to be a bit tricky, but I'll try my best. I'm just going to need that for a second. Just bear with me one moment. Okay, I can maybe show you the rotation in this app instead. Okay, so I'll make it just a bit smaller. So we want to rotate this shape 180 degrees about 1, 0. Okay, so okay, now you're gonna need tracing paper obviously for this question, which obviously I don't have. Now the question says that we want to do it about the point 10. Okay, so find 10, which is just here. Okay, now to rotate this, okay, first of all you're going to want to draw that shape in. Okay, this is your shape here. Draw that on your tracing paper. Okay, now let's see if this works. You want to, now for me to rotate it, okay, in this app, if I just move that down, get that out the way. Okay, so imagine this is my tracing paper. I'm going to put it on. Okay, now if I rotate it, now if I'm rotating, now this is rotating around the origin, isn't it? But we want the center of rotation 10, so if I try moving it here, okay, rotating it, make sure it stays on 10. Okay, if you got your own tracing paper, you'll be able to do this a lot better than me. Okay, keep that on 10. So that's 90 degrees here. Almost. That's 90 degrees. Need to go one more turn to get it to 180. Okay, I'm trying to do as accurately as possible. That's 10 there. Okay, and that's 180 degrees. Okay, so your shape should look a little bit like that. Okay, so if I draw that on, okay, so the rotation will look a little bit like that. Okay, I'll try my best to show you that here. If you've got tracing paper, you'll probably be able to do a better job than me. Okay, but yeah, okay, let's move on. If you've got that, let's get back into here. Okay, work out the value of 3 to the power of 7 times 3 to the negative 2 over 3 cubed. Okay, so with here, main thing to remember with powers, anything that has the same base number, when you're multiplying it, you add the powers. So it's m add n, and when you're dividing, anytime you're dividing, you don't add, you subtract the powers. Okay, so 3 to the power of 7 times 3 to the negative 2. 7 add negative 2 is the same as saying 7 take away 2, which is 5, over 3 cubed. Here now we're dividing, so we're going to subtract the powers. That becomes 3 to the power of 5, take away 3, answers 2. So work out the value of it. It's going to be 3 squared, so the value of 3 squared is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, question 21. Work out the value of v. Okay, so again it's another question on substitution. Okay, so v squared is u squared, which is 12 squared, add 2 times a, which is minus 3, times s, which is 18. So therefore v squared equals 12 squared is 144, add 2 times negative 3, okay, 2 times by negative 3 is minus 6, okay, 2 times by minus 6 times by 18. Okay, let's work that out. So therefore v squared equals 144 minus 6 times by 18. Well, 10 times 6 is 60, 8 times 6 is 48, so 60 at 48 is going to be negative 108. So therefore v squared equals 144 take away 108 is 36. So v is going to be the square root of 36. So therefore v equals plus and minus 6. Okay, square root of 36. Remember, when you square root a number, you're going to have two possible values. It can either be a positive or a negative. Okay, because positive 6 times positive 6 is 36, and negative 6 times negative 6 is also positive 36. Okay, part B. Again, if there's any questions on that one, let me know. Okay, part B, make S the subject. So here we need to rearrange, okay? So we got v squared equals u squared plus 2as. Notice your s is locked in all the way here, okay? So basically, we want to rearrange this equation. We'll make s the subject, so we might make it so that s is by itself. First thing, you see that u squared there? It's a positive u squared. So when that goes onto this side, it becomes negative, so it becomes v squared minus u squared. So remember, when it changes side, it changes sign, so that's a positive u squared. When it goes up here, it becomes minus u squared. So here we're still left with 2as. Now 2as means 2a times s. Yeah, 2as, that means 2a times s, or it can mean 2 times a times s. Okay, I'm going to look at that as 2a. So if we're multiplying by 2a, if you want to eliminate that from this side, you have to divide by 2a. So we get v squared minus u squared divided by 2a equals s. Okay, and there we have it. We have s as a subject of this equation. I'll write it again here. S equals v squared minus u squared divided by 2a. Okay, 4 marks there. Question number 22. Okay, nearly finished. We got 22, 23, 24. Okay, we got a couple left. Okay, let's try see how much we can get done. A bonus of £2,100 is shared by 10 people who work for a company. Okay, £2,100 is shared by 10 people. Okay, 40% of the bonus is shared equally between 3 managers. So 40% is shared between 3 managers. The rest of the bonus is shared equally between 7 salesmen. One of the salesmen says that if the bonus is shared equally between all 10, I'll get 25% more money. Is he correct? I'm sure you're working out. Okay, how many marks is this question? This was with 5 marks. Okay, so big question here. Let's break it down. A bonus of £2,100 is shared by 10 people. So basically they're saying they're going to get, if it was shared equally between 10 people, they'll get more money basically. So let's see how much money they actually got. So £2,100 is shared by 10 people. Okay, we got that. 40% of the bonus is shared between 3 managers. So what do the managers share then? So what's 40% of 2,100? Well, we know that 10%, just like earlier, of 2,100, okay, divided by 10 is 210. So therefore 40% of 2,100 times it by 4. Okay, 2 times 4, 8, 10 times 4 is 40. So the managers, they share £840, okay. The rest of the bonus, so what's left? So work out 2,100 minus 840. Okay, borrow from here, that's 0, 10. You get 9 here, 1 there. Okay. So 10 take away, okay, let's look at this. So we got 2,100 take away 840. So now 8, I'll give you a moment to have a go at this one. Okay, my mistake, sorry. Okay, I think getting a bit tired now. Look at this again. So we've got 2,100 take away 840. Okay, 0, carry from here 0, 1 here 6, carry from here 1, 10, that's 2, 1,260. Okay, so the salesman, the rest of the bonus is shared equally between 7 salesmen. Okay, so the salesmen, all 7, have to share 1,260. So what does each one get? So do 1,260 divided by 7. That's 0. Carry the 1. That's 1. 12 divided by 7 is 1. Remainder 5. 56 divided by 7 is 8. 0 divided by 7 is 0. So the salesmen each get £180. Okay, yeah. Now they claim that if the bonus is shared equally between all 10, they'll get 25% more money. So let's see. So if it was shared equally, then that should be 2,100 divided by 10, okay, which is £210. So they're correct. They would get more money, but yeah, they'll all get £210 each. But is that 25% more? Now, so they got £180, right? Now they're saying that 210 is 25% more than 180. Is that correct? Well, what's a quarter of what's 25% of 180? Okay, 25% is a nice fraction to work with because you can just divide it by 4 and divide by 4, just half in, half it again. 25% of 180, half it and then half it again, 90, and then half again is 45. Okay, so if they were to get 25% more, that means then 25% more than 180. What's 180 at 45? It's going to be, yeah, it's going to be £225. Okay, so according to their claim, if they were to get 25% more, that means that they should be getting £225, but they're not, are they? If it was shared equally, they'd only get £210, okay, which is less than 25%. So are they correct? The answer is no. Okay, because £210 is less than 25% more than what they actually got. Okay. Yeah, okay, well done, Suzanne, you got that. 225. Okay, let's finish off with that sentence at the end. Okay. Now, yeah, I made a note of these earlier. So up to this point, with all the questions that we've done, it's basically, if you got all the questions right up to now, it's 59 marks, which is a grade 5. Okay, now I did make a point earlier, which I forgot what it was now. I didn't spot it earlier. Basically, where the grade 4 was. Okay, now let's carry on. It's nearly finished. 23 says that it would take 120 minutes to fill a swimming pool using water from 5 taps. How many minutes will it take to fill the pool if only 3 taps were used? So basically work out, if it was 120 minutes from 5 taps, how much would 1 tap take? So you just have to do 120 divide by 5, okay, which is 24. So that means that each tap takes 24 minutes. So 1 tap takes 24 minutes. So therefore 3 taps, you're going to do 24 times 3, which is 20 times 3 is 60, 4 times 3 is 12, 72. Okay, so the answer is 72 minutes. Okay, let's look at that again. Sorry, I think I made a mistake on that one. So question says that it would take 120 minutes to fill the swimming pool using water from 5 taps. How many minutes would it take to fill the pool if only 3 taps are used? Okay, so 120 minutes to fill the swimming pool using water from 5 taps. Yeah, okay, I made a mistake here. So it would take 120 minutes to fill a swimming pool using water from 5 taps. Okay, how many minutes will it take to fill a pool if only 3 taps, 3 of the 5 taps are used? Okay, so first we need to do is work out 120 times by 5. Okay, work that out to begin with, and then divide your answer by 3. Okay, so 120 times by 5 is what? Well, 100 times 5 is 500. Okay, 20 times 5 is 100, so that's 600 minutes. Okay, if only 3 of the taps are used, you can do 600 divided by 3, okay, which is 200 minutes. Write that down. Okay, part B, state one assumption you made in working out your answer to part A. So the assumption that we've made is that the water is constant, isn't it? That we assume that the water is constant from all taps. Okay, question number 24. Okay, we've got a plane travels at a speed of 213 miles per hour. Work out an estimate for the number of seconds the plane takes to travel 1 mile. Okay, so it says estimate. Okay, so when you're estimating any number, you have to round it to one significant figure. So 213 will round down to 200 miles per hour. Okay, so that means that per hour we're doing 200 miles. So per 60 minutes, yeah, we're covering 200 miles. So how long would it take if we are going to be doing just 1 mile? So it's the same ratio, okay? We're working it as a ratio. Again, there's a number of ways you can work it out, but I find working as a ratio is the easiest. So what you divide 200 by to get to 1, you have to divide by 200. So therefore do the same thing to this side as well. 60 divided by 200, if I write it as a fraction, the zeros cancel out. So we're left with 6 divided by 20. We can cancel that down by dividing both by 2, which is 3 over 10. So we get 3/10 of a minute, okay, which is how many seconds? 3/10 of, well, 60 seconds, right? Because 60 seconds in a minute. So when you're working out a fraction of an amount, divide by the bottom times by the top. 60 divided by 10 is 6, and then 6 times 3 is 18. So the answer is 18 seconds. Okay, and that was question 24, part A. Part B says, is your answer an underestimate or overestimate? Okay, well, underestimate, isn't it? Because what did we do to the 213? We rounded it down, didn't we? So it's an underestimate because we rounded down to 200. Okay, now let's look at that again. Okay, so yeah, looking at the speed, we rounded it down, didn't we? Okay, so what effect would that have on the actual question? Well, because we rounded the speed down, okay, it's actually, my mistake, it's actually an overestimate. Okay, because we rounded down to 200 miles per hour. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, if not, we'll carry on. Question number 25. Solve this simultaneous equation, 3 marks. Okay, now with simultaneous equations, okay, there's a number of ways you can solve it. One of the ways is by substituting one of the equations into the other equation. Okay, so I'm going to call this first equation number 1, I'm going to call this second equation equation 2. If we look at equation 2, if we rearrange it to make x the subject and then substitute that back into the original equation, we'll be able to work out what one of the values are. Okay, so x minus 3y equals 9. If we rearrange that, we want making x the subject, it's going to give us x equals 9, add 3y. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to substitute that into equation number 1. So we've got 5x plus y when x is 9 plus 3y, so we get 5 bracket 9 add 3y add y equals 21. Expand this bracket, 5 times 9 is 45, add 3 times y is 15y, add this y which is outside the bracket equals 21. So we got 15y add 1y is 16y, so we get 45 add 16y, that equals 21. Rearrange it, 16y equals 21 minus 45, so therefore 16y equals a negative. 21 take away 45 is minus 24, so therefore y, divide both sides by 16, is minus 24 over 16. Now I don't like my fraction like that, I'm just going to cancel it down. Okay, I'm going to cancel it down by dividing both of these by 8. So 24 divided by 8 is going to be minus 3 because it's minus 24, and 16 divided by 8 is 2. Okay, so y equals minus 3 over 2, which is basically minus 1.5. Now that we've got what y is, okay, I'm going to go all the way up, back here. We're going to, I'll use a different color as well. We're going to substitute into, so we've got y equals minus 1.5. I'm just going to do in the top into equation number 1. Now it doesn't matter which equation you use, I'm just going to use equation number 1. So that's going to give us 5x add y. When y is negative 1.5, it's going to be adding a negative is the same as subtraction, so it's going to be 5x minus 1.5 equals 21. Rearrange this, so we get 5x equals 21 add 1.5, so therefore 5x equals 22.5. To solve this equation, divide both sides by 5, so you got 22.5 divided by 5, so x equals 4.5. Okay, and that's your value of your x and your value of your y. Okay, so let's write that down. X equals 4.5, y equals minus 1.5. Okay, 3 marks. Okay, let's move on. Okay, if there's any questions up to this point, if you want me to go through any of the questions again up to this point, let me know. Otherwise, we'll move on to question number 26. Okay, this question is worth 4 marks. So the diagram shows a square ABCD with sides length of 20. It also shows a semicircle and an arc of a circle. AB is the diameter of the semicircle. AC, this arc here, is an arc of a circle with center B. Show that the area of the shaded region divided by the area of the square is pi divided by 8. Okay, so should do the easy bit first. What's the area of the square? Area of the square is just 20 times 20, isn't it? So the area of the square, I'll do it here. Area of the square is 20 squared, 20 times 20, which is 400 centimeters squared. Okay. Now, in order for us to work out the area of the shaded region, we need to work out the area of this the area of the quarter of the big circle subtracted from the area of this smaller semicircle. Okay, so let's have a look at that then. So let's look at the bigger circle. Okay, so let's look at, so if you notice the bigger one, which is the quarter, isn't it, of a full circle. I've tried to draw that as best as I can. Let me try again. So it's even worse. Okay, sorry for my poor drawing. Okay, that's supposed to be a quarter of the circle representing this full quarter here. Okay, so imagine that's 20 centimeters. Yeah, so the full circle would be like that. Yeah, what would be what's 20 then? 20 is the radius. Okay, 20 would be the radius of this bigger circle. Okay, so therefore the area of this, and remember this is a quarter, isn't it, is going to be a pi r squared divided by 4, where the radius is 20. Okay, so it's going to become, well, we know 20 squared is 400 pi, yeah, because 400 times pi is 400 pi divided by 4, which is 400 divided by 4 is 100 pi. So the area of this big quarter is 100 pi. Okay, let's work out the area of the semicircle. Okay, let's see if I can draw that for you. Okay, now for the semicircle, this 20 is not a radius, is it? It's a diameter. So in order to get the radius, we need to half the diameter. So that's going to be radius. The radius is just going to be 10 centimeters. So this is going to be pi r squared. Okay, 10r. Okay, let's have a look at it. So pi r squared. Yeah, okay, I think you mean 10 centimeters, yeah. So pi r squared would be for the full circle, but we want half of it, so we're going to divide that by 2. The radius is 10, so 10 squared is 100, so we've got 100 pi. Divide that by 2, we're left with 50 pi. Okay, so we've got those two areas now, yeah. Okay, we're nearly there. So the area of the shaded region is going to be the difference between these two, isn't it? So the area of the shaded region is going to be 100 pi take away 50 pi, which is just 50 pi. Now that's the area of the shaded region. Now the question tells us specifically is that show that the area of the shaded region divided by the area of the square is pi over 8. So what's the area of the shaded region? We just worked it out. It's 50 pi. So we know the area of the shaded region is 50 pi. Divide that by the area of the square is 400. Okay, let's cancel this down. Well, we can to cancel down this fraction, we can divide both the numerator and denominator by 50, isn't it? Divide both by 50. Divide this by 50 as well. Okay, what do we get? Well, 50 pi divided by 50, you're left just with 1 pi, and 400 divided by 50, well, that's the same as saying 40 divided by 5, which is 8. Is that the same? It is, yeah, pi divided by 8, pi by 8. Okay, slightly big question, but if you go through systematically, okay, breaking down each one, okay, you get the answer, okay, pi divided by 8. Question 27 and 28. It's 2 more questions left. Okay, these 2 are actually not that difficult. Okay, so that the most difficult questions are finished. We've just got the last 2 left. Okay, so we got Amina has 2 bags. First bag, 3 red balls and 7 green. In the second bag there are 5 red balls and 4 green balls. Amina takes at random a ball from the first bag. She then takes at random a ball from the second. Complete the tree diagram. Okay, so well, if 3 out of 10 are red, then green is 7 out of 10. Okay, in the second bag, well, 5 ninths. Remember, probability of 2 things has to add up to 1. Okay, so if that's 5 ninths, this is going to be 4 ninths. Okay, and it'll be the same thing again. Okay, let's just double check the information we have in the question. So that in the first bag there are 3 red and 7 green. In the second bag there are 5 red and 4 green. Okay, so it'll be the same thing. So it'll be 5 ninths and 4 ninths. Okay, so complete the tree diagram for 2 marks. Okay, that's your answer there. Okay, next. Okay, it says that work out the probability that Amina takes 2 red balls. Okay, so using the tree diagram then, so basically to get a red and a red. Now the main thing, 2 rules in probability that you need to remember. One is called the AND rule and the other one is called the OR rule. With the AND rule you have to multiply the 2 probabilities. With the OR rule you have to add. Okay, so looking over here, so the probability of a red and a red you have to multiply. Okay, so the probability of getting a red and a red, you have to multiply the 2 probabilities. So you got 3 tenths times by 5 ninths. 3 tenths times by 5 ninths. So just multiplying the 2 fractions, you get 15 over 90. Okay, 15 over 90, and that's your answer. Altogether 4 marks. Okay, last question. Okay, well done you guys that have kept up all the way. 28. The size of each interior angle of a regular polygon is 11 times the size of each exterior angle. Work out how many sides it's got. Alright, now if we demonstrate here, imagine this is one of the sides of the polygon. We don't know how many sides it has. Okay, this is the interior angle, and that's the exterior angle. It says that the size of each interior angle of a regular polygon is 11 times the size of each exterior angle. So if I call the exterior angle x, the interior angle is going to be 11 times that, which is 11x. Now we need to remember again, we mentioned it earlier with the question on the chi, angles on a straight line have to add up to 180. Okay, so it's also interior and exterior angles, they both have to add up to 180 as well. So we've got 1x add 11x, that must add up to 180. So we got 11x add 1x is 12x, that must equal 180. So therefore divide both sides by 12. 180 divided by 12, if we do the working out here, 180 divided by 12, cancel the fraction down. Okay, we can say if I half both of them is 90 divided by 6. Okay, 90 divided by 6, we can work with that. It's going to be 15, isn't it? 15. So x is 15 degrees. Then that's not the answer. Okay, that just tells us the exterior angle is 15 degrees. Now remember that the exterior angles have to add up to 360. Okay, that's one rule you need to remember. The exterior angle, the sum of exterior angles is 360. Okay, so basically 360 divided by n, which n is the number of sides. We don't know how many sides it has. Okay, so I'm just going to call it n. So 360 divided by the number of sides is 15 degrees. Okay, and the reason why I write that, because we're told it's a regular polygon. Regular means that all the interior angles are the same and all the exterior angles are the same. So 360 divided by n, whatever n is, the number of sides, equals 15 degrees. Yeah. So rearrange this to make n the subject. Is basically 360 divided by 15 is n. 360 divided by 15, I can do my working out here. 360 divided by 15, again this is non-calculator, so if I cancel down both these fractions by dividing by 5, I guess, so if we cancel this down, that becomes 72 divided by 3. 72 divided by 3, so therefore n equals well, that goes 24 sides. 24 sides. Okay, and that's your answer. Okay, for 3 marks. Last question of the paper, 24 sides. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for staying for the whole session. If you have any questions, it's my first time doing it. I'm using the pen as well, writing and doing a live broadcast. This was my first ever live broadcast. I mean, I'd really appreciate your feedback. What can I do to improve? What did you find useful? What did you find not so useful? So please, just leave any comments below. If there's any questions on if you had any problems with any of the questions we've done today, okay, just you can let me know. I can wait for a couple of minutes. If there's any issues, again, feedback would be greatly appreciated, guys. Okay, thank you, Suzanne, and well done for keeping up for nearly 2 hours. Okay, I didn't expect it to take that long. I was hoping to do it much quicker than that, but I guess just getting a bit used to kind of broadcasting live while working out the questions as well. I do apologize about the initial technical issue about the whole link getting changed. I must have done something to the original link. I think it explains why I've had less viewers as well, because there was quite a lot of interest coming into it. But never mind, I'll do another free session as well. Hopefully next tackling a higher paper. Okay. Yeah, if there's no other questions, thanks for joining me today, and just keep an eye on my Facebook page. I'll be posting the dates for the next papers as well. So that was paper 1. I do expect to do paper 2 and a paper 3 as well of this November 18, as well as the higher paper as well. Yeah, it might be best to let people know the exam paper in advance. Students could have it written out or printed out. Yeah, if you have a look at my my Facebook page, I have posted it since last week. That I was going to go through this paper in particular. Maybe some groups release the message a bit later, but yeah, of course, my idea is to give basically pre-inform what paper we're going to be going through as well. Because I do want my students to have a go at the paper first, and obviously look at what questions they found hard in particular. Yeah, okay, perhaps you saw it on one of the groups. I think they did post it a bit later than when I actually sent it. Okay, guys, if there's no other comments or questions, we'll end it there. Hope you have a good evening, and hope to see you again soon. Okay, goodbye.